They said her podcast was too real, too detailed, too specific. At first, everyone thought it was just another true crime story, a creative blend of mystery and fiction. But a week later, the police found a body and everything she said in that episode. The victim's age, the location, even the time of death matched the real crime exactly. The worst part, she hadn't uploaded the episode after the murder. She recorded it before her name was Clara Dawson, a 27-year-old podcaster from Seattle who ran a small but loyal true crime podcast called Echoes of Evil. She wasn't famous not until episode 46, The Last Confession. It was supposed to be just another fictional story about a woman's mysterious disappearance. Clara wrote the scripts herself, researched real cases for inspiration, and used a haunting tone that kept her listeners hooked. But this episode, this one felt different. Even Clara didn't know why. The night before recording, she couldn't sleep. She kept waking up to strange sounds. From her apartment hallway, faint knocking, like someone was standing right outside her door, hesitating to come in. When she opened it, nothing. That morning, half asleep, an unsettled Clara sat at her microphone hit record and whispered the chilling first line of the story. It started with a woman who didn't know she was already being followed. She improvised most of it, no written notes. This time speaking as if she was remembering something, not inventing it. In her story, a woman named Rachel Moore met a stranger in a bookstore. They talked about a rare poetry book, exchanged smiles, and a week later, Rachel went missing. Clara described Rachel's house, her routine, the exact street she lived on Oak Ridge Lane. She even mentioned the day her body would be found Saturday behind a laundromat, wrapped in a blue sheet. When she finished recording, Clara shivered. She had no idea where any of those details had come from. 3 days after the episode went live, the comments started flooding in. This story felt too real. How do you know about Oak Ridge Lane? That's near my cousin's house. You described the missing woman from our local news. At first, Clara thought it was a prank, but when she turned on the TV, her blood ran cold. A real woman. Rachel Monroe, not Moore, had gone missing in Seattle. Same age, same hair color, same neighborhood. The resemblance was terrifying. The police found her car abandoned near a bookstore, exactly like Clara had said in her podcast. And then a week later, on Saturday morning, they found Rachel's body behind a laundromat, wrapped in a blue sheet. Clara stared at the screen in horror. The words from her own recording echoed in her head line for line. When detectives came to question her, she could barely speak. She showed them her recording timestamps, the upload dates, everything proved she had uploaded the episode before the murder occurred. The detective, a middle-aged man named Detective Harris, didn't look convinced. So you're saying you predicted? Clara's hands trembled. I don't know how, I swear. I made it up. He stared at her unimpressed. You made up the exact name of the street, the crime scene, and the way she died. Clara opened her mouth, but no words came out. She realized something else. She hadn't even remembered saying some of those details. It was like someone else had spoken through her that night. She re-listened to the episode, but at 14 minutes and 23 seconds, something strange happened. Her voice changed. It dropped lower, slower, like another person was speaking through her microphone. He's not done yet. Clara froze. She had no memory of saying that. The file hadn't been edited. It was raw audio. She deleted the episode in panic, but it was too late. Thousands of people had already downloaded it. Days passed. Clara barely slept. She started hearing whispers through her headphones when her mic was off every night at exactly 3:12 a.m. Her recording software opened by itself. A blank file appeared titled Next. She unplugged her computer. The next night, it still opened. When she finally checked one of the next files, her stomach dropped. It was a recording of her own voice, but she hadn't recorded anything. The voice, calm, emotionless, said, "The next one is closer than she thinks." The next morning, Clara got a call from Detective Harris. Another woman had been found dead, this time 2 blocks from Clara's apartment. The way she was found identical to what Clara's second episode draft described. Now it wasn't just a coincidence. The police confiscated her laptop, assuming she was involved somehow. But what they found made even the detective uneasy. Her recordings contained faint background audio, static noises, then whispering, and something that sounded like breathing. And when forensic analysts enhanced the audio, they heard a man's voice behind hers, whispering, "Say it." It was like someone or something was telling her what to say. As she recorded, Harris confronted her again. "Clara, this man, whoever he is, seems to know you. Are you sure you don't remember anything?" Clara's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know him. I don't know what's happening to me." But something inside her whispered that wasn't true. There were flashes of blurred memory of a basement, a microphone, the faint sound of crying. She'd buried that memory years ago. Hadn't she that night? Clara decided to record one last episode. She titled it "The Voice That Kills." She wanted to prove to herself and to everyone that she wasn't crazy, that she could control the story. She turned off the lights, lit a single candle, and hit record. Her voice trembled at first, but as she spoke, it grew stronger. She described a man tall, quiet, with a scar under his left eye, standing behind her as she recorded. She said he'd been there the entire time, whispering into her ear what to say, guiding every story. Then her tone changed. "He's here again," he said. "He's watching me write this." A noise, faint at first, then louder, interrupted the recording. A slow creak, like a door opening. Then footsteps, then a whisper, "Say goodbye." The recording cut off mid-scream. Next morning, her neighbors reported hearing a loud crash, and then silence. When the police arrived, they found Clara's apartment empty. The candle had burned out. The mic was still on, and on her computer screen was a single word typed over and over. Next, a week later, Detective Harris received a USB in the mail. No return address. It contained an audio file labeled Episode 47, The Detective's Confession. He pressed play. Clara's voice spoke softly. "You shouldn't have opened this, Harris." Then came silence, and behind the silence, his own voice whispering, "Say it." The file ended abruptly. No one ever found Clara Dawson. But every few weeks, a new episode appears on her podcast feed, perfectly recorded, uploaded automatically. No one knows who's doing it or where it's coming from. But every story describes a murder that hasn't happened yet, until it does. Maybe Clara didn't predict murders. Maybe the murders needed her to speak them into existence. And somewhere right now she's recording another one, maybe about someone listening to this story.